So good morning, everyone. So we're going to start with a new topic in dental materials. That's going to be dental ceramics. So what exactly are these dental ceramics? Or before going into the topic, how many different varieties of restorative materials we're going to come across in dentistry in day-to-day dental practice? So those different types of materials what we use for different kinds of purposes that can be simple filling material or a restoration which we do after removing the caries to fill up the gaps. Those are called filling materials or restorative materials. Or whether we have to in some cases we have to cover entire tooth structure. That means all around the tooth we need to cover the material, the restorative material. Those are called as crowns. So we use these crowns for different kinds of purposes in different kinds of scenarios in dentistry. So the materials what we use for these things, and sometimes we might have to use removable things, that is partial, we call them as partial dentures or complete dentures. So the material what we want to use to fabricate those partial dentures or complete dentures. So these are different kinds of materials what we use in dentistry. So the different kinds of materials what we use are nothing but metals. Those are alloys. We have polymers what we use for partial dentures and complete dentures. We have composites we use for inlays, onlays, or class 2 restorations, or class 1 restoration, class 5 restorations. Then we use these ceramic materials. So these are the four different kinds of restorative materials what we use in day-to-day dentistry. Those are the names being metals, polymers, composites, and ceramics. So we're gonna start with ceramics in today's class. So these are uh, a combination of different non-metallic oxides. Ceramics are nothing but a combination of different oxides of non-metals with little bit of metallic or semi-metallic materials in them. So ceramics are nothing but they exist in nature as different non-metallic oxides along with a few percent or little percent of metals and non-metals. So that's the composition of a normal ceramic material. So the main contents what we see in a dental ceramic or a ceramic material is feldspar. I think we all know what is a feldspar. That's uh, SiO2 and Al2O3 combination. That's a feldspar. Alumina is aluminum oxide, that is Al2O3. So the main ingredient is 60 to 80% by weight is feldspar. Then we have alumina. Then we have kaolin. We have quartz and different oxides, some being metal and some being non-metallic. Then we have color frits. So the main ingredient is being feldspar. So this feldspar is a main component which forms a matrix. Into that matrix, we're gonna add different oxides of metal or non-metal. So when all together, all these materials, when we heat them to their melting temperature, uh, the crystalline matrix uh, into that matrix, these crystals of metallic and non-metallic oxides are impregnated, and we get a material which is a super cool structure which is known as ceramic. So we have feldspar, then we have alumina, then we have kaolin, Then we have quartz. We have different oxides of non-metals, that is from sodium, potassium, and calcium. Then metallic oxides. They can be tin oxide, barium oxide, titanium dioxide, zirconium dioxide. All these metallic oxides are also incorporated into this uh, crystalline phase or amorphous phase of feldspar according to variation in the compositions, or according to the variations in these metal oxides, we get different types of ceramic material. So the basic composition is being feldspar, alumina, kaolin, quartz, boric oxide or oxides of non-metals, that is sodium, potassium or calcium. Then we have metal pigments and metallic oxides. So this is a basic composition for a dental ceramic. So what are the what is a structural configuration for uh, a quartz or amorphous matrix, glass matrix, SiO2, that is silica. Quartz, we have different configurations of silica, that's quartz cristobalite. All those, I think you might have come across in your earlier chapters, where we see different types of crystalline structures at different temperatures they exist. So we have uh, different types of silica, that's quartz and cristobalite. All those things, they exist uh, in different crystalline structures at different temperatures. So basically, this silica, what it has is four different protons, that is 4 plus. The valency number for the silicon is 4 plus. That means it can share um, its 4 electrons, I mean, sorry, 4 protons with 4 different uh, anions. So if a silica is formed, silicon dioxide is formed, silica will be in the middle with 4 different oxygens at each oxygen atoms at each corner. So it has got a tetrahedral structure. So at each corner, silica forms a covalent bonding with oxygen, that is silicon dioxide. So this is one of the main ingredients where we have in our feldspar in the glass forming structure. So what are the main properties of these ceramic materials? Chemically, they are very much inert. They are very much biocompatible. They don't cause any allergic reactions or obnoxious reactions when we use them as a restorative material. So they are chemically inert and biocompatible, and they are insoluble in oral fluids, but to some extent they can absorb water. So because of this, there is going to be a slight degradation of the material, and because silicon atom, it shares its protons with 4 different oxygen ions, there are no free electrons left in the valencies. So because silica is a tetrahedral structure, and at 4 corners we have 4 different oxygen atoms, and we don't have any free electrons left to move around. So basically, because of this absence of free electrons, uh, it's a good insulator. That means it does not conduct any electricity through them. But the compressive strength for ceramics is much higher. Compressive strength is higher, but it has less shear strength, it has less tensile strength, and it has less flexural strength. So even the compressive strength, that is force applied perpendicular to the structure, is high for ceramics. Its tensile and shear and flexural strength for ceramics is very low. That's one major disadvantage of ceramics. See, alloys has a better ductility, better malleability, and better flexural strength. All those mechanical properties are higher for metals or alloys when we use them as restorative materials. But for ceramics, these strengths, these mechanical properties are low. It is better than polymers, but less than that of metals. So we have to remember this whenever we are using these things as a restorative materials. And it has low coefficient of thermal expansion also. So these are different, or these are general properties for ceramic materials. That is, chemically they're inert, they're insoluble in oil fluids, no free electrons, so there is no conduction of electricity through them. They're brittle, they have low ductility and malleability, or there is uh, you can the ductility and malleability can uh, can be zero also, but they have high compressive strength, low tensile, shear and flexural strengths, low coefficient of thermal expansion. So all these properties are generalized for a ceramic material. So you can see here aesthetically they might be matching with the adjacent key, the color and translucency and transparency and all those things. But the properties, the mechanical properties are low for ceramics. So that is one thing we can see over here. So let's come to the classifications. How we going to classify these ceramic materials? So we can classify ceramic materials under different headings. One is the first one being according to the composition, then according to processing procedures, then according to uh, various materials used at various stages of ceramic firing, or we can call it a ceramic sintering or fusing and all those things. And according to fusion temperature, at that means at what temperature we are melting these ceramics, or these ceramics whether they are getting fused at what temperature. So depending upon that fusion temperature, we can classify them. And the according to the microstructures, different crystalline forms where they exist, according to that microstructure we can classify ceramics. According to transparency, then according to application. So there are total 7 different uh, ways of classifying these dental ceramics. The first one, the first one being according to composition. Second one according to processing or according to manufacture. How we manufacture ceramic material from different combination of non-metallic oxides or raw materials. Depending upon the processing, we can classify them, and the varieties what we use to fabricate these materials or manufacturing these materials. According to fusion temperatures, according to microstructure, according to transparency, and according to applications, where exactly we use these ceramic materials and for what purpose. So according to those things also we can classify these things. The first one we can come, the most easiest is according to application. What you are seeing here, what you are seeing in this slide over here. So these can be used for fabrication of different porcelain jacket crowns. So you can see here you are having a metal inside and you are having a layer of ceramic on top of this thing. So these are called as jacket crowns, where we have some part of the restoration is in metal, the other part is in ceramic. So these things are called as jacket crowns. So porcelain is used to or ceramic is used to layer or used to form a layer of a tooth color material on top of a metal structure. So this ceramic is fused to the metal structure. These are called as jacket crowns. The first and foremost uses of ceramic is porcelain jacket crowns. Then we have veneers. Veneer is nothing but only a part of the tooth is covered by the ceramic structure. So that can be the labial surface or the anterior surface of the tooth. So veneers. Then we have post cores. Post and core is nothing but whenever a tooth structure is lost, at least that means a three-fourth of the crown portion of a tooth is has been lost because of any fractures or any because of caries, uh, any of these damaging things which hampers or which completely destroys the tooth form. So we have to rebuild that form to give a crown on top of that thing. If at all, if you have to give uh, a crown, first we need to have that support for the tooth. So on top of that, on top of which a crown can be placed. So to rebuild that thing, we are going to take support from the canal of the tooth by inserting what is known as a post, which is a kind of pillar which will be cemented into the canal of the tooth, and around that we're going to build up a structure of the tooth that can be with the help of a composite that can be with the help of the ceramic or any other material, and on top of this support we are going to give a crown. Okay, so that procedure is known as a that support is known as a post, and the structure what we build up around that post is a core material. So we're going to use for fabrication of ceramic jacket crowns, veneers, post cores, and fixed partial dentures. So fixed partial dentures are nothing but we're going to replace a missing tooth by taking support of one anterior tooth and one posterior tooth. So three teeth we are going to club them together and form a connecting thing which is known as a bridge. So this can also be called as a fixed partial denture because we are having two uh, natural teeth here, one anterior and one posterior, and in between we are having a false tooth. So these three teeth they come together in a form of a bridge connecting two teeth. So this is called as a fixed partial denture. So we can use the ceramics for these fixed partial dentures. Then we can use for fabrication of inlays. What you can see over here. This is an inlay. This is a part of the tooth. It can be used for fabrication of an onlay. It can be used for fabrication of orthodontic brackets. These are the things what we use to align the teeth. So these things which are placed on top of the labial surface of teeth, which can be used to align the teeth. These are known as orthodontic brackets. That those brackets can be fabricated in ceramics. Then the most important thing is the density. So we have teeth what we used for replacing in partial dentures. That can be a removable partial denture or a complete partial denture. So these teeth they can be manufactured with the help of different polymers or composite materials and ceramic materials also to give that lifelike or transparency and translucency for the teeth. We can fabricate those false teeth with the help of ceramic materials. So these are different kinds of applications where we use these ceramic materials. So we'll come again